is up, everybody? ShonnyDman here, and welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are doing great. Hope you guys had yourselves a nice 3-day weekend if you're lucky enough to have 3 days off. Back again with another episode of Nerd Talk. I hope you guys are ready to jump into this. So, to get us started, tell us who you are and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, hi. I am Nerdy Minded Cosplay. My name is also Kalia. I love to do cosplays of different genres, different I don't want to say trilogies, what franchises. And yeah, I like to create stuff and share it with the world.
So that sounds pretty good. I think I came across your Instagram page, and it was, I believe, your Wonder Woman cosplay is what caught my
Oh,
attention. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. I mean, let me shoot her a message and get this figured out. So, once again, very fun. I appreciate you coming on to do this.
oh, of course. Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. Yeah, I love to talk about all the nerdy things, and that's why my page is called Nerdy Minded, because I don't know, I feel like it's appropriate.
So to get things started off, tell us a little bit about what got you into cosplaying and what was the first cosplay that you did.
Ooh, okay. The first cosplay I did, I'm trying to remember. I think it was probably Elsa, and it was Spirit Elsa from Frozen 2. So yeah, I'm a party princess performer, and that's how I kind of got into this is
Oh,
that's I was doing that out in LA for about 4 years, and then I moved out here to Arizona where I live now to start my own company. But like I started cosplaying in 2020. So like I was kind of bored during the pandemic, and I was like, you know what? Everyone's on social media more than they already were right now, so why not give this a shot and just kind of see what happens. And so yeah, I think I knew I was going to start my company, my character company, so I started buying costumes for cosplay, knowing that they would also be used for my business. Um and yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Elsa. And then right after that was like a really terrible Wonder Woman that it was just a terrible costume that I found. And yeah, and then I think I used my real hair, and I don't know, it was very strange.
I think you're the second person that I've had on that did the party princess kind of thing. I can't
Yeah.
remember who the first one was. What was that like?
Oh, I mean, it's the best thing in the world. Sometimes it can be kind of nerve-wracking depending on the situation when you walk into a party and maybe the person who hired the character is putting a ton of pressure on you to do certain things where you're like, yeah, we don't normally do that.
Uh,
So I don't know what to tell you, but aside from that, it's great because I think when I first started doing it, I was kind of like having like a little bit of, I don't want to say an identity crisis or anything like that. It's just like I needed to find a way to be confident in various situations. Especially like at the time I was going to school for music, and I had an issue with a professor that made me feel super self-conscious, like I didn't deserve to be in the music program at my school. And so creating like a facade or an alter ego based on a character that I really loved and admired helped me to kind of get out of that. And so, yeah, like it started with me actually wanting to play Ray at Disneyland. And then I went to tons of auditions. I never got selected. I never even made it past the first round. And then one day I was really annoyed. This is really bad, but I was driving home. I was in a slow down. So I pulled out my phone and I made like a resume on Word and sent it to every party princess company I could find. And then, yeah. I
oh,
think you asked me what it's like to do that, but I kind of like took a detour because
no, that's
I
fine.
overshare a lot.
No, that's fine. That's completely fine. So you try to be like one of the characters at Disneyland, and
Yeah.
that just didn't go through.
It just didn't work out. I think I went to 4 or 5 auditions. The last audition I went to for Disney at all where I didn't get it, and what led to me just finally like trying to find another way to play characters and make money, and just to support myself out there was it wasn't even a character audition, it was an audition to be a character host. And yeah, I think looking back, I know how I would do the audition now and maybe make it past at least the first round, but I don't know. I think things worked out the way they should have.
So how many rounds of auditions were there?
So, I mean, I went to five very separate auditions. Like it was like maybe over a span of like a year, I went to different auditions. But from what I've heard, the first audition or the first round is they line you up. It's like everyone has like a different line and you have a spot. It's like has a number and they'll say, okay, everyone come to the front from this line. And then they'll say, okay, like they make it sound like no big deal. They'll say, just tell us like your name, where you're from, like your favorite Disney tree. And they say it so nonchalantly, but what they want, from what I've heard, is for you to be super bombastic and very outgoing despite how much they downplay it. And I did not do that, but so yeah, they do that. And then they will say, okay, numbers 2, 5, and 7, you can stay. The rest you may leave. And then I think from there, they maybe say, like, yeah, you could play this person or this character because you look like the actress who already plays her, which is what they do. They want it to look really seamless when, they have different performers,
Mm.
playing the same character. So that way they all look the same in all the pictures, no matter what. Um, and then I think they do have you do singing. They show you like a dance number. It really depends on like what all they want you for too. I don't know what they would have done like for Ray, but I also know that they didn't cast her for very long because they weren't intending for her to be a very big character.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That sounds like such a process.
it does.
So did you have to? So what did you do? Did you have to like sing and or do like some kind of like monologue or anything like that?
So since I never made it even past like the first round, all I got to do was introduce myself and just share little bits of information. So yeah, that's all that's my experience only amounts to the very first round. So yeah, they want to see like if you can still be outgoing, I think, despite their lack of enthusiasm, which is very smart. I mean, I do that too sometimes.
So was that like obviously was that like really kind of like internally devastating that you didn't get a chance to move on to the next round?
Sometimes I think for me, it was just like I was thinking of all the time I was spending at the auditions for it to not go through, thinking like I knew I could do what they wanted, like what
Hmm.
I was there auditioning for, like I knew I could do it. But I don't know, like I wouldn't say I was ever devastated. I was just like, man, like I just spent like 3 hours there and like I didn't even get tips on how to do better. Like, so that was my big thing.
Okay. So advancing to what you're doing now. You're starting
Mhm.
your own company. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I started my character company 2 years ago. It's 2 years ago this month. Um, and it's a learning experience. It's lots of fun. Um, yeah, just a lot of different scenarios. You meet a lot of different people, which is really cool. You just never know. Like you can literally do a party for someone down the street, or you can do a party for someone who plays on like a professional sports team and like have no idea until you're there and you're like, oh, you're on the Cardinals or you're on the Suns or
Huh.
something like that. Not that that happens a lot, but it has happened a couple times. Or like we'll do a party and then someone will tell me like, you know who that was, right? And I'm like, nope. I'm like, I just booked the character like and sent them and everything. Um, but I kind of prefer to keep it that way because I feel like I would be weird if I like knew who they were and I'd be like,
Oh,
yeah, please. And I don't I mean, when it's sports people, I don't really get too giddy because I don't follow sports. But if it was like someone who I watched on TV and loved, I'd be like, oh, like we're gonna make this happen. I don't, yeah. But running my own company is tons of fun. I feel like it's a really good way for me to, I hate saying this, but like monetize on like my natural creativity and my ability, I think, to teach and guide people on how to be performers. Which, yeah, I think that's kind of one of the coolest parts about it is I'm also a big advocate for trying to find people who maybe are in college or high school ways to make a decent amount of money in like a day instead of working just a job that you hate Monday
Right.
through Friday, which is why which is what got me into the princess performing initially anyways. I was working at a very popular coffee shop while I was in college and I hated it. And so I was like, I need to find a way to make more money and doing something that I can be really good at. And so, yeah. And then that's kind of my big motivator for my business is finding people like opportunities to make lots of money in a little bit of time.
Okay. Okay. So what are some learning curves that you've had to kind of like just overcome when you first started it out up until now?
Organizational skills and just like developing a flow for like from the booking process to hiring someone to prepping them to be a performer and all of that. It's a pretty big process where it's kind of like it just gets refined the more we do it. And it's also, I think my other big thing is just like when something goes wrong, just like calming down and just like just being calm about stuff that's going to go wrong because as a business owner something always goes wrong, like something always happens, and it's not, I'm not trying to say like you have to get used to it, but you kind of have to develop a mental plan for how you will react. And it's for me it's like I'm like, oh my god, like what am I going to do? I shouldn't run this company, blah blah blah. And so for me it's just like, okay, like this is just an opportunity to learn and it won't happen again because now I know what to do so it doesn't happen again. And it's just the things you don't think of occurring
Hmm.
and then they happen and then you're like, well shit.
Yeah. What's so I'm sure you've had like some terrible experiences with this so far. Um, what is how do you handle those kind of? I mean, obviously there are days where things don't go as planned, and people can get frustrated, that kind of thing. So how do you handle that as a business owner?
I mean, I think for me is I try to ask like if it's a performer saying, "Hey, this happened," or even if it's a client saying, "Hey, this happened." For me, it's like I always go to the person, like the person who works for me who was involved in the incident, and I always say like, what could I have done, or what do you need moving forward for this to be easier for you, for this to not happen, for you to know for sure like what's going on. And then I just make accommodations from there. Yeah, and like I think sometimes I just have to like remind myself that based on just who I was as a kid and the people who, like my grandparents, like they didn't like raise me, but they watched me every week when I
Mhm.
was really young and they helped create like ways for me to bring the things I imagined to life. Like, I think I was kind of born to do this. And I have to remind myself, like, yes, like we're still a new company. Today sucked. Like, that shitty thing happened, but like, it's gonna be fine because like I was supposed to do this.
Okay. Okay. So how many employees do you have right now?
I have about 25.
Oh,
This is also like very part-time work because
yeah.
it's a weekend job. But a weekend job that when people make themselves available for lots of events and things work out properly, they're pulling in what they would make, at a regular job in 2 weeks, they're making that in a day. So,
Okay. Who's the
yeah.
most which character is the most people want the most?
I would say Elsa. She's the most popular. Ariel is also like a very close second, especially in the summer months because like living in Arizona, everyone's having pool parties in the summer. So I like Ariel's like it's usually mermaid themed, so then Ariel works. But Elsa and Ariel are kind of tied.
Okay. Okay. That is any Star Wars characters that you do?
Oh yes, so we do these are all I have to say this for legal purposes. These are all impersonators or um gosh, I'm missing the word, but these are just impersonators of like Rey, Princess Leia, Mandalorian, and Darth Vader. Those are the four yeah, impersonators that we have. Yeah.
Is interesting. So, what is the future of the business looks like? What's the next step that you want to move to?
I want to get it to a place where, you know, we're consistently the number one choice from any person who's looking for what we offer. And like everyone knows who we are in our general vicinity. And then potentially to franchise it out to another state. So have someone else run it in another state and I teach them how to run it and show them the system and how to have a successful company. And yeah, that's like, I think that's probably the next thing. TBD though.
Right. So in your free time when you're not running a business, what are you doing?
Honestly, I'm probably just watching TV because I feel like I kind of go, 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 and it's very hard for me to turn off the working brain, which is something I'm working on where when it's 7, 8 p.m. rolls around, like I'm not even thinking
Mm,
about my company. But I will say a lot of my work is it's all at home, so I wouldn't say it feels like free time. It's just not like, oh, I have to get to this place by 9 a.m. and do these things and
mm.
work. You know, it's more like, okay, this is what I need to get done today. Just like get it out and be done with it. But I don't know. I like to hang out with my nieces and my nephews a lot in my free time. So that's probably my big thing is I have like a little nephew and a little niece. Like my niece is just a year old, so I like to go hang out with them and teach them, I don't know, to listen to like Star Wars music. So that's my big thing is I like to annoy my sister and like show her like, "Oh, look, like your kid really likes Star Wars" because she doesn't care about that stuff. So it's just fun.
So do you go out to any of the cons that are around you or conventions around your area?
Yeah, so the main one that we have here is called Fan Fusion. It used to be called um like Phoenix Comic Con a couple years ago. But now, yeah, now it's Fan Fusion. So that was 2 or 3 weekends ago, and I went to that as who was it? Oh, Wanda
Oh,
Maximoff.
okay. Yeah, I think I saw those. Is that the one you sent me? I think. Was that weekend?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it was that costume, I think, but that picture wasn't taken at Fan
Oh, okay.
Fusion. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Cool. So
Yeah.
what TV shows are you into right now?
Okay, so this is totally not nerdy, but I'm really obsessed with Shameless.
Okay.
Love that show. I had heard about it for a long time. I really like Emmy Rossum because I like Phantom of the Opera. And so I was obsessed with Phantom for like 6 months. I do this like every couple months, I get obsessed with it for like a while and I sing it like every day. And so I was watching it and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give Shameless a try. Facebook was putting a bunch of Shameless clips on my for you page. So
Hmm.
like, let's give it a shot. And I was like, okay, I really like this show. So I watched a lot of it. My other show that I was binging for a while was Selling Sunset.
I've never heard of that one.
Um, it's about realtors in Los Angeles selling multi-million dollar homes. I'm very upset though because I did just see a clip where one of the cast members from that show shared that like almost everything on that show is fake, and I was like, okay, I'm a little depressed now. I don't like. I'm
I
not gonna
thought
finish
I
the show.
I, I thought
I'll
most of
still
that was
probably
fake.
watch it because it's nice to pretend.
Oh,
Yeah, I just like. I guess I just didn't think like that the sales would be fake.
Oh,
So I was like, wow, this girl just got an amazing commission. I need to be a realtor too. And then even that's fake. So I'm like, okay, well, that's totally depressing. Um, but as far as like nerdy shows go, hmm, I always cycle back to Once Upon a Time, like once a year I'll go and I'll start it again from the beginning because I loved that show. That's probably something that actually got me into cosplay too because I liked seeing like the normal humans turning into the characters. So I always thought that was really fun. I also am watching, what am I watching? Oh, probably Obi-Wan Kenobi's gonna come back into my life because I watched it once and I might watch that one again. I'm trying to get my significant other to watch it. So, but right now we are working our way through all the Star Wars movies, but from like episode one
mm.
to nine.
Yeah. I've watched a little bit of Shameless, but I haven't really finished it. Um, Once upon a time, I knew nothing about that show. But there was a girl I was dating at the time who was obsessed with that show. I think it was because of Hook. It was
Yep.
like it was like eh, everybody loved Hook, and so I was just like I don't. But then I watched it, and I was like, okay, I can see this. I can see myself getting into it.
Yeah.
Um, Kenobi, I did enjoy it. For it was fine. It was okay. It was all right with me. Um, what else? Let's see. What are the shows? I just recently finished binge watching The X Files.
Ooh,
Uh,
okay.
I never watched The X Files, but I knew of the show, and so I was like, you
Uh-huh.
know what? Let me give this a try. And I was like, I love this show so much. The last two
Have
seasons kind
you?
of irked me, but I love the show.
I haven't watched it all the way through. I remember my dad watching it when I was really young, so I would catch it every now and then. And I remember even back then thinking that David Duchovny was really cute. I've always like liked him as an actor, which reminds me like I want to watch his show Californication, which was out like 10, 12 years ago. I always heard that that was a really good show. Did you ever get into Firefly? I think that's what it is.
No, I had a lot of friends who were into that show, but I never got into it myself.
Got it.
Uh, let's see, I got into there was Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
That was good. I never finished the second series of it. I watched like all the seasons of
Oh,
the original, and then they did another kind of spin-off. I watched a few episodes of that, but I think it was eventually canceled. Um,
yeah.
what is it Black Mirror? That's on Netflix.
Oh, yes. Okay. I that's on my list to watch.
That's a pretty series to watch. Um, what else am I watching? Let's see. I binged watch Inuyasha. Uh, I haven't watched. I watched the original Naruto, but I never watched like any of the spin-off series with it. Probably something I should do. Um, I'm not. I'm not into like musicals or anything like that. Um, again, this girl I was dating, she was into those, and she tried to get me to watch Phantom of the Opera, and like kind of halfway through, I fell asleep, and so
Oh.
and she had to like nudge me awake, and I was like, I'm here, I'm watching, and it's just not my cup of tea when it comes to those kind of things. Although saying that, I did like Hamilton, um, and then let's see,
Yeah.
I saw the Lion King on Broadway.
Okay.
That was fun.
I feel like that's one everyone has to see because it's like the movie itself is pretty iconic. And
Oh yeah,
so I've heard that the Broadway is even more like impactful. And I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen it. It's my goal. Hopefully I'll be going to New York in the near future. And I think that's like one of the first ones I want to see probably is Lion King, and I'm probably gonna cry my eyes out like at the very beginning. Because
I
like,
think
how do you hear that song and not cry?
yeah, I think there's Lion King, there's Wicked.
Hmm.
There's another one. There's another famous one I can't think of that people talk about. But I'm just typically, like I said, I'm not really into those things. I will try my best to tolerate it if I have to, but I won't be very happy internally about it because I'm having to deal with it. So, um, and so, but yeah, that's pretty. There's a ton of shows and movies. Like I've watched all the Marvel movies, obviously.
Yep.
The Flash came out this past weekend. I haven't gotten around to watching it, but just reading some of the comments people have made about it, it's probably something I'll just wait till it comes to like a streaming service.
Yeah.
Um, and then the other weekend, I went and saw Across the Spider Verse.
Mm,
Very fun movie. I really enjoyed it. Um, I don't go to the movies often unless it's something I really want to see. Um,
right.
let's see. I don't think there's really anything coming out the rest of this year that makes me want to go to the. It may be something, but I just can't think of. Most times I'll just wait to the streaming services because they usually come like a month or two after. So, like the Super Mario
Sure.
movie, the Super Mario Brothers movie, that came out like in March, and it was like on streaming service like in April. So
Oh. Oh, wow.
they come out relatively quick sometimes with some. Um, oh, Scream 6. I
Oh
wanted.
my God.
It's good. I enjoyed it. I was going to go see that in theater, but I ended up watching it on stream on Paramount Plus. I loved it.
Is that the one where they brought back Courtney Cox?
No, that
Or
was
not?
Scream 5.
Scream 5. Okay.
Well,
Got
no,
it.
no, no, no. You're right. No, she is in Scream 6 too.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
the one that plays Sydney is not in Scream 6.
Yeah, I'm forgetting who that actress is, but I know who you're talking about. To be honest, I haven't seen Scream in a really long time, and I remember seeing it like my older siblings watched it in front of me, and then the mask freaked me out, and so like, and I actually remember my siblings, one of them was Scream for Halloween, and like, I don't know why they made me wear the mask, and like the smell of Halloween costumes makes me really nauseous, and when it's like closed around your face, like it makes me sick. And so I remember like throwing up in a scream mask because I
Oh
like a
my
4-year-old
gosh.
kid.
I remember when I was younger, and I've told a few of my guests this story. But when I was younger, me and a group of guys, it was our friend Zane's birthday, and so
Hmm.
where I live, we drove to a haunted house called what was it? It was Atrox, which is like a haunted theme location near where we lived, and
Hmm.
we it was wild. It was very wild because so you would have to like stand it's like you would stand in line for like an hour just to purchase tickets to go in, and they'll give you like these little tokens that told you what group you were with. When I
Hmm.
went, they had the actress who played in the original, like I think it's like maybe 1989, some 1980s Carrie movie.
Oh.
She was there. Uh, it was really awkward because they were also playing horror movies, just to entertain people while they wait and stuff like that. So they were playing The Devil's Rejects, and
Oh.
then there's a scene where like this guy and woman are just like they're going at it in the bedroom, but they block out they black the screen but not the sound, and so
Oh.
it's like really awkward because like there's no picture, but you just hear them going at it, and it's just like this is really awkward. So, but we got in line, and we were going through the haunted attraction and everything. We came to like the swamp area, and there was this character who was a witch, and she was like yelling at us. And and all this stuff, and we're looking at her, and there's this guy that comes out of nowhere from like a side alley. He comes out of nowhere with a chainsaw and like freaks us all out. We just all scatter. Um, my friend Jimmy, he lost a shoe. I ran into a wall, and it was wild. It was just pretty wild times doing that kind of stuff.
That sounds like a lot of fun though, honestly. Was that the first time you went to a haunted house or something like that?
Yes, yes.
Oh,
That was the first time. The second time we went to this place called Sloss Furnace. It was at an old abandoned industrial factory that they turned into
hmm.
a haunted house. And so they had this cool zombie obstacle course that you had to go through. And so they had a lot of characters as zombies, and you had to go through an obstacle course, like swing across a rope, all this stuff. And if they touch you, they had like uh some kind of paint where you could shine a UV on it, and it showed that they touched you. And
Oh.
so if you were able to make it through it, you were fine. You got like a little T-shirt and like a little token saying "I survived the zombie obstacle course" or something along those lines. Um, but most times, during Halloween, we typically when we're not doing that, we usually go around the little haunted areas of where I live. We have like a mountain near us where a witch used to live.
Oh.
And we have this one area that we call Crybaby Bridge. And the story goes, a mother and she took her and her child, and they jumped off this bridge. And
Oh.
story goes, if you drive there at night, shut your car off, and if you put baby powder on the top of your car, you and just wait a few minutes and get out and look, there will be baby footprints on the top of your car. And so it's pretty
Oh my gosh.
it's pretty
And
creepy.
where is this? Like where is that?
So I live in Alabama, and so this was
Okay.
just around the city where I live. We have a few weird haunted spots like that. So yeah, it was just right around where I lived.
Okay. Got it. Got it. Okay. Perfect. That's cool. Okay. I detected an accent and I was like, I think I've met other people with the same accent. And so that's where I was kind of guessing you might be, whereabouts you might be.
It's really hard to tell at
Um,
times whether I have an accent or not, because I don't know.
mhm.
It's just how you live somewhere for so long, you just kind of like you're just used to hearing it. You're in your own voice. You probably don't even hear it yourself until like somebody points it out, like you got an accident or accent.
Yes, exactly. Like it's kind of funny because I feel like living in California, people would be like, "Oh, yeah, you're from Arizona, you have an accent." I'm like, "No one in Arizona has an accent. Like we just talk. Like we don't have accents." But I feel like no one has an accent until they're like somewhere else or talking to someone who doesn't speak the same way. And so yeah, I mean, I might have an accent to you. So because I'm from Arizona. Since we're kind of on the topic of like haunted stuff, spooky stuff, have you seen any of Ari Aster's films? Have you seen like Hereditary or Midsommar?
Hereditary is on my list. I'm very picky about my horror movies
Okay.
because I told somebody this a while back. I love horror movies, but I'm also like
Mhm.
a sucker for like low C tier horror movies, like where you can see the blood, it's like corn syrup, and you can clearly like see the production people in the background. Like I don't know why I love that. I just love it so much. Hereditary, it's on my list. It's just something I haven't got around to. Like, let's see, horror movies. I've seen The Strangers. I've seen. There's one. There was like an indie film that showed at, I believe, the Sundance Film Festival. It was The
Mhm.
Witch. Uh,
Oh,
very. If you're, it is. It's not. It's more supernatural than it is scary, but it's a really, really good movie that I would highly advise people to check out. It's very
okay.
good. See what else. I love Halloween.
Those are great.
Uh, Friday the 13th. Love those. Well, depending on which one I'm watching. um, Netflix has The Haunting of Hill House.
Okay.
Love it. The Haunting of Bly Manor is like the sequel to it. I'm o- I'm okay with that one. It's not as good as the first one, but I do like some aspects of it.
Sure.
Um, what other horror movies have us? Oh, Lights Out. That's a pretty fun movie.
I'm gonna add that to my list. I haven't seen that one yet.
The Conjuring films, for for
That's
the
a good
most
one.
part, are all really good, depending on which one you're
Mhm.
watching. Um, what's another one? What's another one? I wanted to see the Boogeyman, but I never got around to checking that out. Um, I feel like I'm missing some horror movies. Oh, this isn't a horror movie. Well, it's more of a thriller suspense movie. It should still be on Netflix, but it's called Hush,
Oh,
and it's about a woman who is deaf and she's been stalked by a killer. It's pretty good. It's pretty fun movie to watch.
it's
Um,
a very original, I feel like, idea or
oh
concept
yeah,
for a horror
I
film.
I didn't think I was going to enjoy it as much as I did, but I was like, oh man, it's a really good concept too, because I was just like, I don't know how it's a movie, but in reality, I don't know how a person would survive something like this. But
Right.
it was pretty solid. See, there's When a Stranger Calls. It's a classic. There's weirdly two different ones. There's like one I didn't know this until like a couple months ago. There's one with the same title, but it's like the 1970s, maybe 80s. And then there's
Mm.
one that came out in the mid 2000s. Both have the same title, but both are completely different movies. So I was like, this is
Oh.
interesting. The one that came out in the 2000s is the one that I'm talking about. I can't remember the exact year the other one came out.
Mm.
Um, what's another one? What's another one?
Nightmare on Elm Street, the classic.
Those, I enjoyed those. And then there was a remake that was fine. I It's not something I would go out of my way to watch, but if it's just on the TV, I'm like, okay, I guess I'll watch it. Freddy versus Jason
Mm.
was just fun. And that's all I thought of it. It was just a fun little movie. Sinister. That's
Oh yeah,
that's a
forgot
good
about that.
movie. The second one's fine. Not as good as the first one. It's not a scary movie, but what is that movie? Um, oh, Old Time. This one came out in the mid 2000s. It's M Night Shyamalan's The Village.
Oh, I remember that one.
Yeah,
Or
I
hearing about that one.
It was recently on TV, and I forgot how much I enjoyed that movie, and I was very glad to rewatch it because I didn't even realize at the time we watched it. I'm like a kid or teenager, and so
Hmm.
I didn't realize that it had like Joaquin Phoenix in it, Bryce Dallas Howard, and I was just like, how did I not know these guys were in this movie? This is good.
Yeah.
Um, what else? I'm trying.
Have you seen Smile? That one looks really
Oh
cool, and I want to
yeah.
watch
Oh
that
my
one.
god. Yes. I've never been more disturbed by a movie than that. It was just very it's creepy. And then The Barbarian. That's also
Oh,
that one came out this year, I think. I think
oh,
that one
really?
came out in January. Yeah. I think it came out in January. It has like Colin Farrell's in it. Somebody else. There's a female actress. I can't remember her name, but it's a pretty fun movie.
Mm.
The Both the Blair Witch Project movies, the original
Yeah.
and the remake, I do enjoy.
Hmm.
Oh, I went and saw Evil Dead Rise. It's fine. I still like the original and the remake of it. Um, what other horror movies? Man, I've seen so many over the years, and so it's really hard to like remember a lot of them. I'm sure more will come in. I feel like later more like gonna come to my mind. And I'm like, oh wait, there's more.
Yep.
So
That always happens.
let me think. I think see if I can find because I had sent a list to somebody. It was like a small list of Get Out's a good movie. It's not really
Oh
horror,
yeah.
but it's a good movie.
Right.
Uh Orphan, not really horror, more suspense based, but that's still a good movie.
What's
What
the
about
one where the kid, it's like a boy, but he's like haunted and his name is Brahms or something? Is it called Brahms?
I don't know if I heard of that one.
Oh, it's like they got a really perfect kid to play like a creepy looking child. Like that's I'm like, I don't want to watch this just because the kid freaks me out. I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
I know there's the Insidious movies.
Those two. I never saw that, but I I just remember watching like Scary Movie 4 or something where like
Oh,
they make fun of that so hard.
I
Oh,
love. Oh man, I love scary movie.
the the Ring is another one, and
That's a
then
good one.
oh, what the other one I was just the Saw movies are like pretty popular. I actually haven't seen like a ton of horror movies. The ones that I'm most familiar with are like Halloween and then like Psycho, and because I like I wanted to see like films that were on the AFI like top 100 list, and I think
Mm-hmm.
Psycho's on it, and I was like, let's watch it, let's see what happens, and totally cool movie.
Let's see, the House of how it's not scary. I don't know if it was scary during the 80s when this movie came, or 70s or 80s when this movie came out, but House of a Thousand Corpses is a really solid movie. House of Wax is another solid movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say it's a solid movie. It's a very fun movie to watch.
Yeah.
Um, trying to think. The Final Destination series is pretty. It's pretty fun.
Human Centipede is like another.
I have drastically tried to avoid that movie
Me
because
too.
I've seen people talk about it. I'm just like, I don't think I want to watch that movie. That's just.
Yeah.
I mean, South Park kind of did like a little parody of it because they had like a human. It was like a human centipede,
Oh
and
my, oh, I remember that. I
and
totally remember
yeah, and I was just kind of like, I don't think I want to. I don't want to do that.
that.
There, there is a movie on. I don't know if it's on Netflix anymore. It's not scary, but it's an interesting movie. It's called The
Uh-huh.
Platform.
Hmm.
Um, is it? It's basically a movie about a guy who goes into this prison, and there are like levels in this prison. It can go anywhere. I can't remember the exact number, but it can go anywhere from like first level to level 580, and each morning you wake up on a different level.
Oh.
And so, and not only that, there is a table of food that slowly goes down through each level. So
Uh-huh.
the first ones at the first level, obviously you get like the freshly made food, but by the time it gets to like level, let's say 300, there may be nothing else there.
Huh.
And you probably won't even eat at all. And so it is a wild movie. It's very wild. And so, but yeah, the guy he goes in just to like do like a research of it and things like that, and it's just it is. Ugh, I would hate to be in a prison like that. Now I think about it.
Yeah, I think I would probably pass.
um, but I'm very much. What is it called? Jeepers Creepers.
Oh yeah, those are good too.
See, there's five of them now.
I just think of the song Jeepers
Oh yeah,
Creepers.
man, that terrified me as a kid watching that movie for the first time. It's just it really terrified me. Uh, Anaconda, it's a good movie.
Yep.
It's a really good cast. Surprisingly, I wasn't expecting the cast like I think like Ice Cube, Jennifer Lopez,
Oh wow.
Owen Wilson's in it, and there's somebody else.
Huh.
Yeah, I know. I thought that too. I was watching somebody talk about it the other day, and I was just like, that was an interesting cast that they had. Um, Deep Blue Sea, fun movie to watch.
Oh, what about the one where it's like something below? I think it's is it Blake Lively where they're in the shark cage and then it falls?
Oh, like 50 meters below, something like that.
Something like that. I want to see that one, but I'm scared I'll never go into the ocean again if
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
watching.
Oh, I remember watching it. I was just like, this is just so interesting. There's a sequel that came out to that, and it had Sylvester Stallone's daughter in it.
What?
Yeah, I mean, I hated her by halfway through the film, but yeah, she was in it. Um, yeah. So yeah, 50 meters down. That should be the name of it. And then let's see, there's a Dark Water. This is a very old movie. Now, it's just came to my mind, but it's called Dark Water.
Mhm.
Uh, I enjoyed that. There's one with Bryce Dallas Howard, Lady in the Water.
Oh.
It's pretty fun. Signs. It's original.
Oh yeah, forgot about that one. Damn. Yeah, I remember being terrified seeing like the alien where he walks across like the pathway and I was just like we're all gonna die.
Some
Like I was like 8 when I saw that and I just like I did not sleep that night at all.
somebody on TikTok, and they did a video where like because the other week they were talking about maybe it was in California, but they were talking about how these residents saw aliens and things like that. I don't know if you saw that on the
Oh,
news.
yeah, I
Uh,
did.
yeah, and so somebody on TikTok made a video where like actual footage of the alien, and it's that part you're talking about from Science where the alien just walks across. I was just like, that is hilarious.
I know, that's good. That's really good.
Um, Children of
It
the Corn is weird.
That's I haven't seen that, but I've heard of that. It scared the shit out of me as a kid, but not
Yeah,
the original, not so much now. The
yeah.
new one freaked me out, but oh, what's the other one? The one with Jack Nicholson. It's not really, I don't wouldn't call it horror, but it's very psychologically interesting.
Is it
Here's Johnny.
Oh, is that not the Sixth Sense? That is oh, what is it's not Amityville horror, it's not that. Oh, the
I
is it The Shining?
yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen that actually, but I know that reference, but I haven't seen that movie before.
Yeah, it's interesting. And whenever I have like a scratchy throat or I can get my voice to sound weird, I'm like, I always imitate the kid because he does like this weird, like froggy voice. It's so creepy.
A movie if you want to be like weirded out by a movie, there's a movie called Sleepaway Camp
Mm,
that is from it's another like 80s movie.
uh-huh.
The ending will traumatize you. Well,
Okay.
maybe not now, but if you were a kid and you watched this movie, the ending will traumatize you. So I was unprepared for it, and so it I couldn't sleep for a couple of nights after that.
Got it.
Uh, and then I believe it's still on Netflix, but they have the Fear Street trilogy.
Huh.
It's based off R.L. Stein books,
Okay.
and so it's good. It's good. I very much enjoyed it.
Nice. Oh gosh, I was just about to ask. There was one. I just lost it. Just kidding. Um,
Um,
I know you were saying that you are with all like the Marvel movies. I like have the sticker that I like had my friend design. I was like, I want it.
oh,
If you can see it here, it's on it's my water bottle one.
hell,
And it
hydration.
says
So,
very proud of it.
um, oh yeah, I have always loved Marvel. Um, the first, Marvel movie that I watched was Spider-Man. Obviously, well, yeah. First DC was that Superman?
Probably.
It was either Superman with Christopher Reeves or the 1989 Batman.
Mm,
It was one of those two I first watched. I'm thinking it's more of Batman because I've always been a Batman lover, so that's probably what it was. So, but yeah, I've always loved Marvel movies. Um, some of their stuff lately has been all right, not the best, but I'm not a hate. I'm still gonna go watch it. So
sure.
I've always like been frustrated with some content creators because they'll do a thing where, and I know they're only doing it just to like get views on their channels, but like
Mhm.
they clearly don't like the show, but they'll continue to watch and review the show just to make videos talking about how much they don't like the show. And I'm just
Yep.
like, just don't watch the show then. Let somebody else who
Right.
might be interested enjoy it.
Right.
So, but that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's kind of how I feel about Star Wars, like with the new trilogy. Like, I like them. Were they the best? No. I
Mm,
really like Rey because she's like my twin, and I really like her character. And so people are like, oh, why is she getting like another thing? And I'm like, well, maybe she deserves another shot because, I feel like she does, like, I think she's a great character in what they gave her.
right.
Like they made her like a very healing and a very calm person where she's not like super reactive and she just has like a very gentle healing like facade to her that I really liked. And so I think we should see more of her. I think she has a personality traits that more people could benefit from. So that's why I like her, but like I feel like people are always wanting to take a dump on
Oh yeah.
her specifically, and I'm like, dude, not her fault. She
Yeah.
just showed up to
Yeah,
say.
there's been a lot of I've seen that too, where there's been like not it's not just like Ray, but I've like also seen with like Captain Marvel. Like I'm fine with I have no issues with Brie Larson as Captain Marvel, but I know there's some people who don't like her. Um, or was another there's some other ones. She Hulk
Yeah,
was very yeah. I mean to me it was an average Marvel show. It was
sure.
fine. It had some good parts. There was some bad parts, but I mean, it was pretty average. But I know how much of like a controversy that came with people when that show first came out. Um, but I've always the sequel trilogy has never really been my favorite. But again, if it's on TV, probably with the exception of The Last Jedi, I'm gonna like watch them. So
You know, what's funny is like I feel like The Last Jedi is actually a very good movie, but it just does not work with that like in
yeah,
that trilogy. Like
if
I
it
was
was a
like, this,
standalone,
yeah, I was
yeah,
like, this is cool. Like I like this. This is awesome. But then like it just kind I think it threw off the next one too. And I was like, okay, and then it didn't help that Carrie Fisher died, and we're like, this whole thing's a mess. Like
yeah. So it was
like we're
definitely
screwed.
something. And then like it's like if I had to like rank all the Star live action Star Wars movies that we've gotten,
Hmm.
those uh I would probably say Force Awakens would be a little bit higher than the
Hmm.
other two, but I enjoy like Rogue One, for instance. I love Rogue One. I thought it's one of my favorite Star Wars based movies. Solo is actually good, but Disney did it a disservice by the way they were marketing it,
Mm,
because you would hardly hear anything about it. And not only that, it came out at an extremely bad time because
yeah.
it came out just after Deadpool 2 and right before Avengers Infinity War.
Oh yeah.
And so it was in a bad spot to begin with. And so the Little Mermaid, and now that just come to mind, Little Mermaid did the exact same thing as well, where it came out before Across the Spider Verse,
Yeah.
and there's something else there. And there's another movie that came out.
Guardians of the Galaxy
Yes,
3.
yeah, yeah. There was that one. They put the Little Mermaid in a bad month where it's between those two type of movies, and a lot of people aren't going to the movies as much nowadays. And so,
Right.
if I want to see, I know I'm going to see Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and Across the Spider Verse. Do I want to spend extra money to go see Little Mermaid? Probably not, because that's not a movie that I'm interested in seeing.
Sure. Yeah, that totally makes sense. And yeah, I think sometimes the way Disney does things is they don't do it like they used to, like just the way they think about putting things out, and it's just like there was like the thing with the solo movie, like I feel like if there's resistance to the film already, you kind of like in order to make people really want to see it, don't make them choose between something they really already know they want to see and something
Mm.
that they're like about. Um, I actually haven't seen Little Mermaid yet, or Guardians of the Galaxy 3, or Across the Spider-Verse. I haven't just like I don't go to the movies often. I think actually the last movie I saw in theaters was the last Star Wars movie, like The Rise of Skywalker.
Oh,
So I'm
really?
like, yeah, so I need to do that because like I see people going and seeing like certain movies where I'm like, man, I kind of do want to watch it. I don't want to wait. But I have like this fear of like going to the movies, like going to theaters and stuff. Like I'm always like, what's that person doing? What's happening here? Is this gonna be like Dark Knight again? Like I
Oh,
get
yeah.
freaked out because it's like other social tragedies that have occurred in similar like venues where I'm like, oh
Oh, yeah,
gosh.
yeah.
But I do really want to go see I really do want to go see The Little Mermaid because I really actually like Halle Bailey. I think the way she sang is like really nice. It wasn't like she strayed so much from like classical like vocal or I don't know, classical like vocal training
Mm.
to where I'm like, oh, this is nothing like it. And I think the only thing I disliked is how Scuttles and Flounder looked.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah,
And Sebastian. I also
yeah.
really wanted to see Sebastian get voiced by the guy who played Mr. Mosby on Sweet Life of Zach and Cody because I felt like his character would have been a total match.
Because they changed the bird type of Scuttle, uh,
Yeah.
and then they got Aquafina to voice Scuttle, and
Yeah.
so nothing against Aquafina, but like you probably could have maybe had somebody different in that role. Um,
Right.
but I mean, but yeah, the designs of like Flounder, that was rough to look at,
He
and
just wasn't cute. Like he
right,
wasn't bright colored. He wasn't cute. And I'm like, I want a cute little fish. Like
yeah,
something that I want to go to the pet store and buy.
and
Like,
like the issue is, it's like it's the same thing with the Lion King live action, where
mm-hmm.
if you look at Little Mermaid and the Lion King, and then compare it to something like the live action Jungle Book, Jungle Book
Yeah.
is vastly superior in the way they did the animals. Now I understand that you want to have like some realism to them, which is fine, but
Sure.
like with the Lion King, you we seen the movie obviously, but like watching it, you didn't get the same emotions visually that you
Oh,
saw in the animated film.
oh, right. Like the bright colors, like the
Right.
sunrise and sunset, things like that. Just like also like just the very big like view, the nature view of like Pride Rock, which is like a really big thing. I've actually really been getting into doing like the perspectives of different movies. So you can see like I just did the Tangled
Oh,
Lantern
okay.
scene. And so I want to do one where it's Pride Rock, where it's like red, orange, and yellow, and then it's like the silhouette of the rock, because I think that would be cool.
Hmm.
But like so those are things that I think like they don't realize that that's the impact. Like that's like kind of what releases that like serotonin into our system, where it's like, oh, I'm a kid again. I'm seeing this, but I'm in the theaters, or it's new, but it's not at the
Yeah.
same time. And I think either that or like they know it and they just don't give a shit. Like I also have to say Jon Favreau did Jungle Book, so everything he does, I will say, is pretty awesome. Would kind of make sense why it was superior to some of the other
Yeah.
films.
Disney's, and then not just those three, some of Disney's live actions. I didn't know this, but I was watching somebody talk about it. But like Mulan and Aladdin, while
Uh-huh.
like here in the US, people enjoyed it, people overseas weren't too thrilled about those movies. Uh,
Really?
yeah, I, I I can't remember why the person that did the video said it was, but like they just didn't receive very well in like the China market or in the Arab market. So that was interesting. I And again, the issue with the remakes is, so you could probably like say they shouldn't really do remakes anyway, because I mean we know the story, we know what's going to
Right.
happen, we know the heroes win. Aladdin was very different because it wasn't really about Aladdin. It was more about
Jasmine.
Jasmine and even Will Smith the genie.
Right.
And Aladdin was just kind of like, he was there, but the story wasn't about him. And so it was just like a weird. I mean, it's a fun movie. I mean, I enjoyed it, but like, it's just a weird thing to watch where the person's name that's on the movie is
Isn't the
like,
focus.
yeah, it's like the third character in this movie. So
Right.
it's so I don't know. It's and then because now they're doing what, a live action Moana.
Mm-hmm.
There's this.
Moana. There's the Lilo and Stitch is
Oh
also coming
yeah.
out.
So somebody on Twitter, or maybe it was TikTok, they were talking about like, go ahead Disney, please make a remake of Tarzan.
Tarzan.
So,
Oh, but uh, Tarzan's perfect the way it is. It has
yeah.
the best music. I really like Phil Collins. He was like my first concert that I ever went to, like ever.
Oh.
And I just like, I love all the memes that people have made where it's like, okay, Phil, it's just a movie about a boy living with gorillas in the jungle, and you don't have to go that hard. And then it's like, and it says Phil Collins, and he's like playing the piano, and it's got flames all over.
um what is it? Let's see what else. Cinderella. I actually
Oh,
I don't remember
yeah.
watching that as live action as a kid. I remember the Disney one, the animated one. I don't remember
Yeah.
seeing the live action. Beauty and the Beast. I remember a little bit of it, but not a whole lot. Um,
I really liked that one actually.
oh,
Like that was
really?
the Beauty and the Beast.
Hmm.
Yeah, I just liked that they picked like the most like the epitome of a bookish, brainish actress like to play her. And I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
yep. I was like, Emma Watson. That's her. I just didn't like that she doesn't actually sing. So I don't really like the fake vocals, but
Oh,
to each their own.
yeah. And then Disney did was it Peter Pan and Wendy for Disney
Just
Plus?
just
I heard
recently, yeah.
I heard a lot of people didn't like it.
Yeah. They also have Snow White coming out, a live action.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right. 'Cause I remember they there were like talks of like people maybe trying to get Peter Dinklage to play one of the dwarves, but it was he was
Oh,
I don't think he was, I don't think he was like really into that. So
I don't think he was having
Yeah,
that.
so definitely not. Um, what else? See, because they wouldn't do a lot. I don't think I think Disney, or at least I would think they're smart enough not to at least do try. They shouldn't do like a live action Tarzan or
No.
a live action Pocahontas,
Right. Yeah. I
unless you
mean,
actually do it the right way. But even then, that's really touchy territory that I don't think Disney would try to go with.
right. And like performers that I have too who could play Pocahontas, like technically they could play her.
Mm-hmm.
They said that not to include her in our roster for characters because it's actually offensive to those who are of Native American descent.
Mm.
Because the way Disney portrayed her was the complete
Oh
opposite.
yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
much more, so much terrible stuff happened to her that it's just like how dare you monetize on a story that you're not even telling correctly, things like that.
Because didn't
So like,
she because in the real story of
mhm.
Pocahontas, didn't she died, right?
Well, yeah, I think she had smallpox and she
Yeah.
passed away from that. She like definitely was not like romantically involved with John Smith. I
She
think it's
wasn't
supposed
an
to be like
adult
they
either.
met. No, she's probably like 14,
Yeah.
15. I don't but I know I think she married someone else named I think his name was also John. I don't remember his last name, but I think she did meet John Smith and
Mm.
like historically that is true that they met, but like they did not
Right.
fall in love and all that stuff. I also don't think she like came to his rescue and he was trying to keep people from taking over her home. So,
Right. Yeah, because I remember
which is
there's
kind of
like
the big thing.
yeah, because there's books out there that are like very horror based kind of Disney versions
Right.
of these characters. There's like isn't there like Little Mermaid, for instance, like she never gets her voice back, and I think she kind of unalives herself.
Oh, I didn't know that part. I know that with
I'm pretty sure she does.
mm, I know that with Frozen, they like Elsa, like in the book, I think it's called The Snow Queen. Like, I think Elsa's obviously supposed to be bad. I don't know how bad she's supposed to be. And originally, that's the direction they were heading with when they were doing Frozen. But then they were like, they heard the song Let It Go, and they're like, this isn't a villain song. Like, this is like someone who like wants to just figure themselves out and all
Mm.
that stuff and figure out all their problems and powers and all that and they're like it's too empowering of a song to make her a villain so they like changed their mind and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a series of books that I think you can probably go and find, and like Little Mermaid's one. I think Pinocchio's a lot darker now as an adult.
Jungle Book.
Yeah,
I think Mowgli goes and kills a bunch of people and
yeah,
sets everything on fire. Yeah.
yeah, I was because I remembered I was on TikTok and I was watching somebody they had a clip from the animated Pinocchio movie, and like as a kid you don't really again you don't notice the stuff, but there was it was a guy talking to the fox and maybe the cat. They were talking about Pleasure Island, and because the guy was kidnapping basically boys and taking them to Pleasure Island, and that was like a subtle reference of like Jeffrey Epstein's island. And
Yeah.
so I was just like, oh my god, I don't know if I can. I was like, oh, this is oh. Like
Yeah.
when that stuff clicks in your head, you're just kind of like, oh, this is so depressing. Now I think about it.
Right.
Ugh,
Right.
it is wild. Disney does that junk too a lot. They like slip in that kind of messaging and everything. It's like really weird for y'all to do that. So
Just a bit.
just a bit.
Just a little.
Um, let's see, but Disney, uh, because Disney's doing no, that's Pixar. Wait, is Disney own? Doesn't Disney own Pixar? I
They
don't remember.
do. Yeah.
Oh, okay, because I remember there's talks about like a Toy Story like 5 or something coming out, and I'm just like, stop. That's
We don't need any
that's enough.
more.
Yes. Um, I think right now DreamWorks is actually like beating Disney in some of their movies. Like Puss
Huh.
in Boots: The Last Wish was
Yeah.
really good from a movie standpoint and visual standpoint because they kind of like copied some of the art style that you
Oh,
saw in Into the Spider Verse,
I see.
and so that was good. Uh, I think they're planning on doing like another Shrek movie.
Yes.
I'm all for it. I love Shrek.
I love
I love
Shrek.
Mike Myers. So, especially Austin Powers. It's like,
Yes.
those are great. Um, trying to think what else.
I'm so sorry. I don't want this to be in the like in our in our podcast, but my phone might die kind of soon just to let
Oh,
you know.
okay.
I'm just not somewhere
No,
where I have like a charger
no, that's fine.
just to
No,
tell you.
no, you're good. You're good. Well, um, I'm trying to think was there's any. Oh, they're doing like another live remake. They're doing a live remake of How to Train Your Dragon. So
That could potentially be interesting, but they need to make the dragon cute. Like, if it's not cute, it's not going to be fun to
be very
watch.
terrifying. So
I mean, we could just watch Game of Thrones.
that's true. That is very true. We definitely could do that. Do you watch Game of Thrones?
Oh yeah, I love Game of Thrones. I wasn't really stimulated by House of Dragon. I was kind of
Oh,
bummed. I felt like anytime you thought something cool was gonna happen, like it was so anticlimactic.
oh.
Until like the very end where I was like, oh shit. Okay, he ate the dragon and his cousin. That totally sucks or whatever they are yeah, they're cousins.
Yeah.
Um
The whole
so I don't know.
incest
That
thing is
was
weird.
yeah. Yeah, it is weird.
But
I just think it's weird.
somebody pointed out, I have to go back and watch it myself, but I remember somebody talking about how like the the boy that's whose dragon got eaten, he wasn't eaten by the bigger dragon, but he held on to the body part of his dragon and it just plummeted like to the ocean. So like he was still
Oh,
alive, but obviously from falling from that height onto the ocean, you're gonna die regardless. But yeah, I was like, oh, that's because I think they were talking about like if you slow it down just enough, you can see where the dragon bites it in half, and you can see him climbing and grabbing on to part of the dragon as it falls. And so
huh.
I was like, that's interesting. It's
I
interesting.
wonder. Okay, I'm gonna look that up because I am interested um in seeing that because then maybe he'll like somehow survive and come back. Like, because that would be like they need something cool because like I don't know, I just feel like they don't have that thing that like Game of Thrones had where you were just like that person did not just die. Like, and
Oh
they
yeah,
set you, they got so used to someone you really liked dying that when someone got hurt after like 4 seasons, you were like, what the hell
yeah.
is going to happen to this person? Like, this person cannot die or I'm not watching. And then you're like, oh, they got better. Oh, thank God. Like, they didn't die. Like, Arya was a big one. Or I always liked Jorah. I thought he was so cute.
Oh yeah.
When he came back and was like healed from the stone, the rock people,
Oh
I
yeah.
was like, came back for his Khaleesi. Oh,
Oh yeah. I enjoyed like by the time I got into Game of Thrones, season 8 was just starting.
oh wow. Okay, I was there with like season 4 or 5 was like where I got into it. And I had to start it like probably like 3 or 4 times to really get into it
Oh,
because,
really?
well, it's just like the first 2 episodes I feel like are very, they're just putting everything into place, but there's
Oh,
a lot of characters, there's a lot of kingdoms, a lot of stuff going on where it's like it's hard to keep track of it. And then it's not until like Ned Stark is in some deep shit that you're like,
yeah, yeah. Oh, but it's I mean I enjoy Game of Thrones, but I can see where everybody didn't like season 8, and so I mean it is what it is. So
yeah, it happened. I'm sure there'll be a redemption eventually.
yeah.
I think the guys, the producers or the directors, they wanted to hurry up and do their Star Wars trilogy, which then they lost because of how poorly they did Game of Thrones. But yeah,
Listen,
it
karma has a way of coming around, so that is for
does.
sure.
It does.
But all right, guys, I think that is a good place to stop. This was such a fun episode. As per usual, you guys, it should be up on screen now. But for those who are listening on podcasts, how can people follow and support you?
Yes. Okay. So there's a various number, or there's a big, not various. There are various ways to support me, to follow me. First and foremost, I'm on Instagram as nerdymindedcosplay. I also have a TikTok with that name. It's not very cosplay-esque. It's very just me. I also have the Enchanted Princess Co. on Instagram and TikTok. That's my character company. And then I make mouse ears. And you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at EPC Ears. Lots of stuff.
and, and other than that, you guys, that like I said, that is it for this week's episode. You guys enjoy the rest of your week. Be sure to go over and check out her stuff. Obviously, you won't be disappointed. Be sure to check out the rest of the content on the channel as well. A lot of new stuff coming. So be sure you're subscribed and hit that notification button. But other than that, you guys have a great week. And I will see you guys in the next episode. See ya.
See ya.